Welcome back to the Sleepless Scientist Channel. Tonight, we will not travel to the stars. We will not dive into the mysteries of time. Instead, we will stay closer to home. We will step outside and look up at the sky above us. Because tonight, our journey is into the weather. Every day, we live inside it. We feel it on our skin. We see it in the clouds. We hear it in the wind and the rain. Weather shapes our moods, our routines, and even our history. But what is it, really? Where does rain come from? Why does thunder roar? How do storms form and fade? In this series, we will explore the science behind these familiar mysteries. We will learn how air, water, sunlight, and pressure come together to create the endless variety of weather we see. From gentle breezes to violent storms, from morning fog to summer heat waves, from snowflakes drifting in silence to hurricanes roaring across the sea. The weather is all around us. It is both ordinary and extraordinary, something so common that we rarely stop to wonder. So tonight, let's slow down, let's listen carefully, and let's begin our journey into the quiet science of the skies. To understand weather, we must first understand the air itself. It feels invisible. It feels like nothing at all. And yet, the air is full of substance. It is a mixture of gases woven together into the thin atmosphere that surrounds our Earth. Most of it is nitrogen, silent and stable. A little less is oxygen, the gas we breathe with every moment. And then there are tiny traces of carbon dioxide, argon, neon, and other rare gases. Though we rarely notice it, this invisible ocean of air is what makes life on Earth possible. It shields us from the vacuum of space. It filters harmful radiation from the sunday, and it carries the ingredients that create every cloud, every breeze, every drop of rain. Air has weight, even if we cannot see it. Every column of air above us presses down with steady force. This is what we call air pressure. At sea level, the pressure of the air is strong enough to press with the weight of an elephant on every square meter of ground. We do not feel it because the pressure inside our bodies matches the pressure outside. But when air changes, so does the weather. Warm air expands. It becomes lighter. It rises gently into the sky. Cool air contracts. It becomes heavier. It sinks slowly back down. This endless rising and falling creates invisible rivers of movement, currents that swirl, collide, and shape the skies above us. The air also carries water vapor. Sometimes a little, sometimes a lot. How much it can hold depends on temperature. Warm air can hold much more moisture. That is why tropical nights feel heavy and humid. Cool air holds less. That is why winter air feels crisp and dry. When air filled with vapor rises and cools, the water condenses, forming clouds. And when those clouds grow heavy, the water returns as rain or snow. So the air is never still. It is always moving, mixing, and balancing. It is the great stage on which all weather is born. When we feel a gentle breeze on our skin, or hear the rush of wind through the trees, we are feeling the breath of this living system. The air around us is not empty. It is alive with motion. It is the quiet architect of the weather we see each day. Look up at the sky, and you will often see clouds drifting slowly above. They may seem soft and weightless, but every cloud is made of countless drops of water or tiny crystals of ice. Each one begins as something small, a grain of dust, a speck of salt, even the smoke from a fire. When moist air rises, it cools as it climbs. The water vapor within it condenses onto those tiny particles, and a droplet is born. Billions of droplets together form the white shapes we call clouds. There are many kinds of clouds, each one telling its own story. High, thin cirrus clouds, to look like delicate feathers brushed across the sky. They form where the air is cold and dry, and they often signal a change in the weather. Cumulus clouds are thick and puffy, like cotton piled high. They are the clouds of summer afternoons, growing tall as warm air rises beneath them. Stratus clouds spread wide and grey, covering the sky like a heavy blanket. They bring long, steady days of drizzle and mist. And then there are cumulonimbus clouds, tall and towering, reaching like mountains into the sky. Inside them, lightning flashes, rain pours, and thunder shakes the air. These are the clouds of storms. But clouds do more than signal weather. They are part of Earth's balance. They reflect sunlight back into space, keeping the planet cool. They trap heat at night, keeping the world warm. Without clouds, the Earth would swing wildly between burning days and freezing nights. And yet, for all their beauty, clouds are heavy. A single, small cloud can hold thousands of tons of water, but because each droplet is so tiny, they remain floating, suspended by the air itself. Eventually, when droplets grow larger and can no longer be held aloft, they fall as rain, or, if the air is cold, as snow or hail. So when you watch the sky, you are watching the endless cycle of water, rising as vapor, gathering as clouds, falling as rain, and returning again. Clouds are not just decorations in the sky. They are signs of the air in motion. They are the storytellers of weather. When clouds grow heavy, the sky begins to let go of its burden. This is rain. Each raindrop starts as a tiny droplet of water, clinging to dust or salt in the air. At first, it is too small to fall, but as more vapor condenses, the droplet grows. Tiny droplets bump into each other, merge together, and become larger, until finally, gravity pulls them down as rain. Not all precipitation is the same. When the air is warm, raindrops fall as liquid water. When the air is cold, the drops freeze into snowflakes. Each snowflake forms a crystal, with a unique, delicate pattern. No two are exactly alike. If raindrops freeze in layers, as they tumble through storm clouds, they become hailstones, hard pellets of ice that can grow as large as golf balls, or even bigger. Sometimes rain falls through dry air and evaporates before reaching the ground. This is called virga, a ghostly curtain of rain that vanishes before it touches earth. Precipitation is part of the great water cycle. The sun lifts water from oceans and lakes as invisible vapor. Winds carry it across the sky, clouds gather it, and the rain returns it to rivers, soil, and sea. This endless cycle feeds forests and fields. It shapes landscapes, carving valleys and nourishing life. Rain can be gentle, a soft tapping on leaves and rooftops, or it can be fierce, a storm that floods rivers and reshapes the land. Every drop connects us to oceans far away. The water falling on your skin tonight may once have drifted in a distant sea, fallen as snow on a mountain, or flowed as a river through the forest. Rain is not only weather, it is memory. It is renewal. It is the sky returning water to the earth below. Sometimes the sky grows restless. Clouds rise higher and higher, darkening as they build into great towers. Inside these storm clouds, something extraordinary begins. Raindrops and ice crystals swirl together, colliding in the turbulent air. Each collision separates charges of electricity. Positive charges gather at the top of the cloud. Negative charges sink to the bottom. The imbalance grows stronger and stronger, until the air itself can no longer hold it back. A spark leaps across the sky. This is lightning. It is hotter than the surface of the Sunday. A blazing flash that lasts only a heartbeat, yet lights up the world. Lightning can strike within a single cloud, between clouds, or from the cloud down to the earth itself. When it strikes the ground, it seeks the fastest path. A tall tree, a mountain peak, a tower reaching upward. The flash we see is only part of the story. The air around the bolt expands instantly, heated to thousands of degrees. The sudden expansion creates a shock wave, a ripple of sound that rolls across the sky. This is thunder. First comes the light, because light travels faster than sound. Then comes the rumble, sometimes sharp and cracking, sometimes long and rolling, echoing through valleys and across fields. For centuries, people feared thunder and lightning as the voices of gods or spirits. Today, we know them as natural electricity, a storm's hidden energy set free. Yet the feeling remains the same. Awe, wonder, a reminder that the sky above us is powerful and alive. So the next time you see a flash, pause for a moment. Count the seconds before the thunder arrives. Each second is the distance between you and the storm, the heartbeat of the sky itself. When the forces of air, heat, and water combine, the weather can grow into something immense. This is the birth of storms. A storm begins with rising air. Warm, moist air near the surface lifts upward into cooler layers above. As it rises, it condenses into clouds, releasing heat that fuels even more rising motion. The process feeds itself, building towering clouds that darken the sky. Thunderstorms are the most common. They bring heavy rain, lightning, and sometimes hail. Inside them, winds twist and swirl, and in rare cases, they can give birth to tornadoes, funnels of violent, rotating air that touch the ground with destructive force. But over the oceans, where heat and water are abundant, storms can grow even larger. These are hurricanes, also called cyclones or typhoons, depending on where in the world they form. A hurricane begins as a tropical storm. Warm ocean water evaporates into the air, feeding the growing system with energy. As winds spiral inward, the storm organizes into a massive engine. At its center lies the eye, calm, clear, a strange stillness surrounded by chaos. Around the eye, walls of cloud rise like great mountains. Here the winds are strongest. Here the rain falls hardest. A hurricane can stretch hundreds of miles across. Its winds can topple forests. Its waves can flood coastlines. Its rain can reshape entire landscapes. Yet, for all their fury, storms also play a role in balance. They move heat from the tropics toward the poles. They stir the oceans and renew the cycle of air and water. To those in their path, they are terrifying. To the planet, they are part of the great engine of climate. When we watch a storm from afar, we see more than destruction. We see the power of Earth, expressed in wind, water, and sky. And we are reminded, with every roar of wind, that we are small beneath the breathing atmosphere that sustains us. The air around us is always moving, sometimes as a gentle breeze, sometimes as a powerful gust. This movement of air is what we call wind. Wind begins with differences in temperature and pressure. When the sun warms the earth, it does not heat every place equally. The equator receives more direct sunlight. The poles receive less. Warm air near the equator rises, creating areas of low pressure. Cooler air near the poles sinks, creating areas of high pressure. Air always moves from high to low, rushing to even out the balance. This is the root of wind. But the earth is not still. It spins, and this spinning bends the path of the wind. In the northern hemisphere, winds curve to the right. In the southern hemisphere, they curve to the left. This effect is called the Coriolis force. Because of it, global winds form vast patterns. At the equator, steady trade winds blow from east to west, carrying ships across the oceans. Farther north and south, westerlies sweep in the opposite direction, from west to east. Near the poles, polar easterlies flow back again. Together, these great belts of wind circle the planet, moving heat and moisture around the globe. Winds do more than shape the weather. They carry seeds and pollen. They spread clouds and rain. They carve deserts and sculpt the waves of the sea. Even a gentle breeze on your face is part of this vast circulation, a breath of the planet's atmosphere, in motion. High above, in the upper atmosphere, rivers of air flow at great speed. These are the jet streams. They guide storms, shape seasons, and influence weather across continents. So when you feel the wind in the trees, remember that it is connected to a global dance of air, a pattern stretching from equator to pole, from ocean to desert, binding the whole planet together. The wind is not random. It is earth-breathing, a steady pulse that never rests. When the air grows cold, the weather takes on a different form. Instead of raindrops, clouds release snow. Each snowflake begins as a tiny ice crystal, forming high in the cold sky. As the crystal falls, it collects more water vapor, freezing into delicate shapes, branches, arms, and endless patterns of symmetry. No two snowflakes are exactly alike. Snow drifts gently, covering the land in silence. It insulates the ground, protecting roots and seeds beneath, while animals leave their tracks as fleeting signatures in the white. Sometimes, snow compacts into sleet, tiny frozen pellets that sting as they fall. Other times, freezing rain coats the world in ice, wrapping trees, roads, and power lines in a glassy shell. Ice transforms landscapes. Lakes and rivers freeze, holding water in stillness. Icicles grow from rooftops, each drop freezing as it falls. Cold air itself has weight. It sinks into valleys, forming pockets of frost. On clear nights, heat escapes into space, and the world grows bitterly cold. Blizzards are winter's fiercest storms. Snow, driven by strong winds, blinds the eyes and erases the horizon. In such storms, the air and the ground become one white blur. Yet, winter is not only harsh, it is also beautiful. The sparkle of frost at sunrise, the hush of snowfall in the night, the transformation of the familiar world into a landscape of ice and crystal. For plants and animals, winter is a time of rest. Trees stand bare, seeds lie waiting beneath the snow, animals burrow, hibernate, or grow thick coats. Cold is a challenge, but it is also part of Earth's rhythm, a season of stillness that makes the return of spring all the more vibrant. Sometimes, clouds do not stay high above us. Instead, they descend and touch the ground. This is fog. Fog forms when air near the surface cools, and the water vapor within it condenses into countless tiny droplets. The droplets hang in the air, thick enough to blur the world around us. Mist is similar, but lighter, more delicate. It softens the landscape without hiding it completely. There are many kinds of fog. Radiation fog forms on clear nights. The ground cools quickly, chilling the air above it. Soon, a blanket of fog spreads low and wide. Advection, fog, drifts in. When warm, moist air moves over a cooler surface, like the sea or cold land, it often cloaks coastlines, rolling in like a silent tide. Upslope fog appears when moist air climbs a hill or mountain, cooling as it rises, wrapping the slopes in a white veil. Valley fog gathers in low places, where cold air sinks and lingers, trapping moisture in still air. In each form, fog changes the way we see the world. It hides distance. It muffles sound. It makes the familiar seem mysterious. A tree only a few steps away fades into shadow. A streetlight glows with a halo. Footsteps echo quietly in the damp air. For travellers, fog can be a challenge, slowing ships and cars, blurring paths and horizons. But for those who pause to watch, fog is a gift of beauty. It transforms the ordinary into the unreal. It reminds us that the air around us is alive with hidden water, ready at any moment to become visible. Fog and mist are the meeting of earth and sky, a moment when clouds descend, and the world wears a veil of mystery. Not all weather is storm and rain. Sometimes it is the absence of these things that shapes our lives most deeply. A heat wave begins when high pressure settles over a region. Air sinks, pressing down on the land. Clouds cannot rise, so the sky stays clear. Day after day, the sun pours its heat onto the ground. Without clouds, the earth bakes. Without wind, the air grows heavy and still. Temperatures climb higher, and each day feels hotter than the last. Heat waves are more than uncomfortable. They can be dangerous. Bodies struggle to stay cool. Crops wither in the fields. Rivers shrink, and power lines sag under the demand for cooling. When heat lingers for weeks or months, it leads to drought. Drought is the slow disaster of weather. Rain falls less often. Soil dries and cracks. Grass turns yellow, then brown. Forests grow brittle. Streams vanish into dust. Animals travel farther for water. Plants drop their leaves to conserve what little moisture remains. Farmers watch harvests fail, and fires spark more easily, spreading quickly across the dry land. Unlike a storm, drought arrives quietly. There is no sudden roar of thunder, no flash of lightning, only silence and the slow weight of time without rain. Yet even drought is part of Earth's rhythm. Some ecosystems depend on it. Seeds wait in the soil for years, ready to sprout only when fire clears the land. Desert plants grow thick skins and store water deep inside. Still, for people and animals, heat waves and drought test endurance. They remind us how fragile life can be when the balance of water and air tilts too far. The absence of rain, the endless sun, the heavy stillness of hot air. This too is weather, not in its noise, but in its silence. Weather is what we feel from day to day. A passing storm, a sunny afternoon, a week of rain. Climate is something larger. It is the long rhythm of seasons, stretching across decades and centuries. And today, that rhythm is changing. Human activity has added greenhouse gases to the air, carbon dioxide, methane, and others that trap heat from the sunday. The more of these gases we release, the warmer the planet becomes. This warming does not mean that every day is hotter than the one before. It means the patterns themselves are shifting. Heat waves grow longer, storms grow stronger, rain falls harder in some places, while drought deepens in others. The Arctic warms faster than the rest of the world. Ice that stood for thousands of years melts into the sea. Oceans rise, and coastlines change. The balance of winds and currents shifts. Monsoons, hurricanes, and even gentle rains arrive at new times, or not at all. The changing climate is not just about numbers, it is about life. It shapes where crops can grow. It changes where animals can live. It touches every forest, every field, every community. Yet climate is not only a story of loss, it is also a story of choice. The same species that altered the atmosphere can also learn to restore balance by using cleaner energy, by protecting forests and oceans, by respecting the cycles that keep our planet alive. The weather reminds us every day that Earth is a living system. The climate reminds us that our actions matter within that system. To understand weather is to see the moment. To understand climate is to see the future. Both are connected. Both are part of the same breath of the planet we call home. We began tonight with simple questions. What is weather? Where does it come from? And together, we followed the air. We watched it rise and fall. We saw it form clouds, release rain, and light the sky with thunder. We travelled through storms and hurricanes, through winds that circle the globe, through snow, fog, and ice. We felt the heat of summer and the silence of drought. We stepped back to see the greater rhythm of climate and how it too is changing. Weather is not just the background of our days. It is the breath of the planet. It shapes the land, the oceans, and the life that depends on them. For all its science, weather is also deeply human. We remember the calm after a storm, the smell of rain on dry soil, the warmth of sun on our skin, the quiet wonder of snow drifting at night. These moments remind us that we are part of Earth's atmosphere, not separate from it. Every breeze that brushes your face is connected to winds circling the planet. Every raindrop that falls is part of a cycle, older than mountains. The science of weather gives us knowledge, but the experience of weather gives us perspective. It humbles us with its power, it comforts us with its patterns, and it reminds us, always, that we are small, yet deeply connected to the air above us and the earth beneath us. So the next time you step outside, pause for a moment, look at the sky, feel the wind, listen to the silence between raindrops, and remember, you are standing inside a living system, a vast and beautiful breath called weather. Good night, and thank you for joining me on the Sleepless Scientist Channel.